Watch Pokemon for the first time in my life with my kids. That show is just absolute genius. I don't know how we get into this, but there's just so much genius to it. Let's open the Wikipedia. Here's the first thing that's genius. So I'm watching this, and like the first frame, I'm like, let's pause it. Well, I'm like, they're like, why are we pausing? We just watched the show. And here's why. I'm like, the first frame of the show, you're spoiling the whole show, but the kids don't know. They're like, they don't know what that is. They don't even say a word on it. They give you the ending at the beginning. Okay, so mine's blown, right? Okay, mine's. Then they just hit you with little Mewtwo, Mew1. I can't believe the show mirrors the game. Like the first show, it's all about you getting starters, and I'm like, oh, let me guess what the starters are. It's the same as the game, except with a little bit of a twist. And then just, I don't know if I can fast forward through the first episode. Like I dropped some lore on my kids. I'm like, hey, look, hey, there's actually like a, Pokemon video game. And they're like, Dad, you get to meet Misty? And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I had to tell them, I'm like, look, I literally told them, like, look, yeah, like you get to meet Misty, but it's not like that. And I'm like, yeah, I fought Misty and I used Pidgeotto and I got mad and she took out all of our Pokemon, so I got really mad. And my son goes, Dad, well, why didn't you just use Pikachu or Butterfree? I'm like, why do you know this? You watched like 3 episodes. How do you know? Like, and so I'm like, so then I'm just going into this, right? I'm like, okay, so this is all, you got to remember, this is all brand new to me. So the thing I learned about in this show is that I didn't know that the Pokemon talked, right? So like, for example, and this could be new for you too. But say for example, like Charmeleon. No, that's not a good example. Oh, I will say when the Diglett episode's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, Diglett episode's the best episode. What's the beginner Charizard called? So this is like the genius of it, right? Is when the Pokemon talk, they don't talk. They just say their name over and over and over and over again. So this guy just says Charizard, 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 Squirtle, Squirtle, Squirtle. Dan, if you're enjoying the video, hit the like button. It helps out a ton. Thank you. Squirtle. I didn't know that. Like they just hammer you with it. So it's like you have no so I kind of get the irony now of like
dang sub.
That's good too. Of like taking this quiz, like of course every kid who ever watched Pokemon knows every single name because they're just hammering with you. And if that wasn't enough, let me hit you with another curveball. And I'm like, how did they do this? Was it on accident or was it on purpose? So if you didn't know this, like myself, so the show ends, right? You're like, okay, the show ending. Let's see the credits. No, you don't get credits. Credits? No, what you get is that depending on the day, they give you a little countdown with a nice little rap. I don't want to play for DMCA stuff. Misty's a real, and let me little side piece on Misty. She's like in the game like she is in the show. We'll just leave it at that. So I'm like expecting credits. I'm like, okay, we're watching our first episode. Where's the credits? Can we get some credits? Are there any credits on this? Nope. What they do is they spam 30 Pokemon at you so you learn the names. So I'm like, I just couldn't believe this. I mean, they start the show, introduce all the Pokemon, all they do is they say their name over and over again. If that wasn't enough, they build a vast storyline of a universe lore in like 10 episodes. And then on top of that, they teach you every single name of every Pokemon at the end of the show. If it's Monday, they show a different video. Tuesday, they show a different 30. I'm just like, how were they this smart to do this? It's just, and it didn't take very much. It was like 1 episode and my kids were hooked. They're talking about badges and trainers. I'm like, look. You know more than I do. I am just kind of blown away of the genius of Pokemon. And it was such a stunner for me. Is this the number one cause of merch? I don't know how it worked or what it evolved into, but it's a really, I'd like to watch like a documentary on the creation of this because it's insane to me. It's like, how could they be that deliberate without knowing what they're doing? And if they were, they're geniuses.
Let's go.
Dang dance.
I don't know. There is a mistake or two. Wait, there's a mistake because I'm like, okay, like after watching like a couple episodes, my kids, I'm like, okay, dude, I could take the quiz again. And I like, we'd get 80%. And then I also want to know, like, because we didn't watch all of them. I mean, it's a lot of TV, but there's like a mystery guy. And like, no spoilers. I want to know who the mystery guy is. He's like in the shadows, just like smoking a cigar. But we jumped around a little bit. There's some sad stuff too. Like Pikachu gets roasted by Raichu. You know, but I like the messaging in the show too, right? Like they don't just show that, you know, Pikachu just steamrolling everyone. Like Pikachu gets destroyed twice, goes back, learns a thing or two. It's not all about evolution. It's about running your sets. It was pretty good. But that's just my, like a normie's first take on watching Pokemon. I am just utterly shocked by the thought and genius behind it. Because like sometimes you watch a show and you're like, they're just throwing stuff against a wall. But like this was like, I mean, from the first frame, they're showing Mewtwo and Mew 1. I couldn't believe it. But anyways, so I started with Indigo League. I'm assuming that's the first one. It has to be. Is there like a documentary on how this thing played out? And was it like scripted out A to Z? Indigo is the first one, yeah. That's the first. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. It was such a shock to me.
Want to catch up on the Dan Gheesling Show because you can't catch it live on Twitch? Then go to youtube.com/Dan Gheesling Plays. There you'll find every single one of our live shows cut up in an easily digestible episode for your viewing pleasure. Episodes are up within a couple days of the show, so you're never too far behind if you want to catch up and watch live. That's youtube.com/Dan Gheesling Plays to watch anything you might have missed on Twitch.